forever. All this rap about you long gone, it don't matter. Ride or die, that's been the deal. The light of your back got disappear.
For anyone that doesn't remember, I am Kara. I am the health and fitness coordinator at Special Olympics. And I'm so excited tonight. This is, we haven't done something like this in a while, but we really wanted to get some good education tonight. So is everyone ready to learn? Perfect. We have a lot of information coming at you. We're really excited. So tonight's topic is going to be all about exercise, and specifically about how much exercise we should be getting and what types of exercise and when we should be exercising. So raise your hand if you've ever had any of those questions pop into your head before. I know I have. I sometimes, you want to get things scheduled, make sure you're getting enough exercise, make sure you're getting enough of all the types of exercise. So hopefully we will get lots of questions answered tonight. I know I had a question that I already asked Logan, and it was about getting exercise in the winter, because I am good about getting outside in the summer and getting my exercise, but then I think it gets kind of hard when it gets cold and icy. So I know he's going to talk a little bit about that too, because the reality is that we live in Iowa. So unfortunately, we don't have 80 degrees all winter. But yeah, with that being said, I am going to turn it over to Logan. He is the owner of All Strong Fitness, and he is here to talk to us tonight. So Logan, the floor is yours.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks again, all the athletes, and specifically Kara, for helping kind of coordinate this and get things back in. It's good to be speaking and teaching you guys some info. So as she kind of already alluded to, we're going to talk about physical activity and exercise in regards to kind of your overall health. And when it comes to health, most people want to improve their health to some degree. Even people who have very healthy lives, I would consider myself one of them. Maybe you consider yourself as somebody with a healthy life, and that's really good and that's great. But even for me and for you, there's always room for improvement in any aspect of our life, and specifically when it comes to our health. One of the main reasons people might also gravitate towards exercising is to maybe improve how they look as well. Of course, you can improve both of these at the same time. So you might be able to lose a little bit of weight and improve your health at the same time. However, there's actually a lot of good things that exercise can do for your body, regardless if you lose any weight at all. Some of these things, regardless of weight loss, can be lowered blood pressure, better blood sugar management throughout your body, increased muscle, which can help you move better and feel better, improved mood and energy. So if you're somebody who might struggle with anxiety, depression, or they might just be a little tired throughout the day, exercising will actually help this. In addition to this, just building stronger joints and tissues around your body will again help you to move better, feel better, and just live longer, independent lives. So when it comes to actual exercise, there's two main things that I usually give for recommendations. And these are basically public health recommendations that come from the American College of Sports Medicine. There's two different ones, as I mentioned: aerobic, which is basically your heart health, and resistance training guidelines, which is basically your bone, muscle, and overall joint health. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is kind of your aerobic or heart health. Others, you might hear this be termed as cardio or cardiovascular health. If you're going to the gym and somebody says, "Oh, are you going to do cardio?" Usually you think of going on the treadmill and doing, 20 to 30 minutes on the treadmill. So for starters, cardio or heart health, the ACSM recommends about 150 minutes of moderate physical activity when it comes to cardio, or 75 minutes of vigorous activity a week. Ideally, you would break this up into about 30 or so minutes a day. So instead of getting all your 150 minutes in one day, they'd recommend doing it maybe 5 days a week of 30 minutes a day relatively. Something I mentioned is that there's a difference between moderate activity and vigorous physical activity. And the way we describe moderate and physical activity is with a term called a MET, M-E-T. And basically a MET is a physical number that measures how hard an activity is. So for example, something that has a MET value of 13 to 14 is going to be much harder for your heart and your overall body to do versus physical activity with maybe a 3 to 5 MET value. So just know the higher the MET value, the harder it is for you. When it comes to moderate activity, we usually aim for MET values between 3 and 5.9. And kind of a good resource I put into the chat already is this thing called the Compendium of Physical Activity. You can go on there and look at a bunch of different activities, whether it's walking, playing basketball, doing household chores. There's a lot of different things you can look at, and you can see if that activity does fall under the moderate category. Some things that I've already mentioned, but a moderate activity might be a brisk walk, mowing the lawn with a push mower that doesn't have self-propel, or maybe just shooting hoops casually with some friends. On the flip side of that, there's also vigorous activity. And vigorous activity is really good because it gets your heart working even harder than moderate activity. An example of this could be jogging, biking up hills, doing a pickup basketball game, or in the winter, shoveling snow is another great example. A good rule of thumb for moderate physical activity is you should feel yourself working, but not too much where you can't hold a conversation with somebody. Vigorous activity, you might be breathing and working hard so much that you can't keep a consistent conversation with somebody. As I mentioned, you can kind of go on that compendium of physical activity that's in the chat, and you can look at all those different activities and see, you know, is me working at Hy-Vee or is me working at the grocery store really considered moderate activity for the day? You'd be surprised at how low some activities are throughout the day. So you might look on there and see, wow, my job, I'm maybe only have a MET value of 2. So that doesn't even reach the threshold of meeting moderate activity. Let's see here. Yeah, so that's kind of the initial aerobic training or your heart health. I'm going to kind of open the floor if anyone has any questions when in regards to like your cardiovascular or heart health or just the METs. Feel free to go ahead and shoot. See, there's some in the chat too. See, lost some weight that I've gained. Okay, that's good. Cool.
Hey, Kara, it's Lisa. Or Logan, it's Lisa. I have anxiety. What could help me with the anxiety?
So one of the, and this is actually still getting researched a lot, but a lot of research specifically with aerobic activity or what we just talked about, kind of that heart health. People who participate in consistent physical activity have lower anxiety rates, lower depression rates, and kind of the mechanism behind this is still being determined. Just know that being consistent with that will definitely help lower your anxiety. So going out for those consistent walks, you know, if you have a dog, taking your dog out, if you like any specific sports, doing those sport practices with your friends, just getting your heart up to any degree will help reduce anxiety. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions when it comes to, could be kind of what she mentioned, it could be about increased muscle, but any questions about your cardiovascular health or just the guidelines in general? Does it make sense? So kind of bringing it back, basically you want to shoot for about 30 minutes, 5 days a week of getting cardiovascular work. So it'd be a 30-minute brisk walk, 30-minute of just kind of casually shooting hoops with friends or just kicking around a soccer ball. Something that gets your heart rate up a little. You might have a light sweat, but not necessarily too much where you feel like you're exhausting yourself. On the flip side, you can actually do those vigorous activities. So if you do like biking and getting out of breath, the more the merrier. There's not a hold on hitting that 150 minutes and just quitting exercise. The more you get, the better. There's increasing benefits all the way up to even past 300 minutes a week, which is about 60 minutes, 5 days a week. So the more the merrier when it comes to kind of getting your heart rate up and improving your heart health. So.
Hey Logan, we have
Yeah.
a step challenge coming up. It's going to run through January through May, and our goal is all to get 1 million steps during that time. It's going to be pretty crazy. But can you talk about where walking would fall on that, and then where jogging would fall, just since we're going to be doing a focus on some steps coming up here soon?
Yeah, good. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Okay, so I would say basically any type of jogging. So where you start to pick up the pace and you're not in your normal, walking motion is going to be considered vigorous. It doesn't really matter even how slow the jog is. Any type of jogging is considered vigorous. So that's really good for your heart health. When it comes to walking, I do like to put in the term brisk walk, because a casual walk, just kind of walking through the grocery store or walking, let's say maybe around campus if you're going to school, this still does get your steps in, but it doesn't really get your heart rate up quite as high as we would want it to hit those physical activity guidelines. So another good example is if you're somebody who's getting a lot of steps at work, you might be able to clock in, 10 to 15,000 steps throughout your time at your shift at the grocery store. But a lot of those steps are going to be very intermittent. You're not going to be keeping your heart rate up for a really long time. So they actually wouldn't count towards your overall physical activity minutes, or that 150 minutes we're shooting for. With that said, though, even if you're not getting your heart rate up high enough, still doing those steps is important, just for generally feeling better and moving better. I know that if I sit on the couch all weekend and then I go try to hit a workout on Monday, not only do I feel tired, I feel sluggish, my joints hurt, pretty much everything in my body hurts. So there's just something said for just getting up and moving around too. Hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then just to wrap things back around, Lisa just asked to reiterate how much cardio you need. So what were those values again?
Yeah. Okay. So 150 minutes of moderate cardio, you could say, a week. So usually we recommend breaking that into about 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes 5 times a week. However, again, you can do more than this. It doesn't need to just be 30 minutes 5 days a week. You can do 45 minutes 5 days a week. You can break it up really however you see fit and however works into your schedule. Just know that hitting that 150 minutes of moderate a week is kind of the minimum guidelines for keeping your heart healthy and reducing the risk of developing diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and all those other bad things that we're trying to avoid by being healthy athletes.
Cool. Awesome. I'm gonna
What if
you in the chat too?
Logan, what if you feel like you're more sluggish and too tired to do anything?
So this is where I would say 2 things. One, you're just going to have to kind of remind yourself why you're getting into exercise and working out to begin with. realizing, that we're not always going to be super excited and super motivated to work out is kind of part of it. There are lots of days where I don't feel like I want to go do anything. I'm super tired and don't want to go do it. But the thing is, once you get started, it's almost like all that goes away. I can't tell you how many times where I feel super tired, and then the moment I get up and even just take a walk across the kitchen, a brisk walk outside, I feel so much better and I feel like I can accomplish anything. So however you seem fit to just get started, just do a very small thing. Doesn't need to be big. You don't need to go run a mile. Just get up and walk around a little bit. Get up and do maybe 10 chair squats, just something super, super small. See if you can build some momentum to get started, and then build off that. That's usually what I tell people.
Yeah, thanks for your good questions, Lisa. And we have another one in the chat too about kind of a specific activity and what the exertion level is there. Said, would playing ping pong count as non-vigorous exercise? There is a ping pong table in the building where I live now.
So that's actually a perfect example of something that you can look up on the Compendium website. So that's at the top of the chat. If you click that, I guarantee you ping pong is on there. I will say from personal experience, ping pong really gets my heart rate up, especially if you're like really into it and playing hard. So I would be shocked if it actually wasn't considered a vigorous activity or close to being vigorous. But yeah, ping pong is a great exercise, pretty low impact too. So if you're into ping pong, I would definitely get on that. But if you have any specific questions about, how hard a certain activity is, feel free, go check out that thing I put in the chat. That has a lot of cool different things. I was looking at it today. It has a bunch of winter activities on there, which is kind of neat too. Snowshoeing, just shoveling snow. I think even just walking outside, all those different things kind of show you those different MET values, which we talked about.
Yeah, and I just dropped that link in the chat again there. I'm not sure if you could see it for anyone that was not in here already. But I just did that, and great news about the ping pong, because I'm preparing for my family ping pong tournament on Thanksgiving. So now I know I'm gonna get my vigorous activity in that day.
If any of you have heart rate monitors too, and you're doing like certain activities, it's something kind of fun to look at to see like, oh, what's my heart rate during this activity? You might be surprised at an activity you thought was like super easy, like maybe taking the dog for a walk, or I don't know, just folding laundry or doing something around your house, and you look down at your heart rate monitor, you're like, wow, this is actually getting my heart rate up pretty high. It can kind of show you just how different things in your life affect your heart. So heart rate monitors are cool. Go for it. Okay, we are going to move on to the resistance training aspect of the physical activity guidelines. And when I say resistance training, it often gets not a negative connotation, but people get scared of lifting weights, and they think they're going to hurt themselves, or there's just a lot of narratives that I'm not a huge fan of, because there's a lot of different ways that you can resistance train or weight train safely. And it's really important, because if you don't consistently weight train or resistance train, you're leaving a lot of potential health on the table, specifically in regards to your bone health, lowering the chances of osteoporosis as you age, joint health, as again, I like to move well and move without pain and discomfort. Weight training is really, really going to help that, especially in regards to your joints. And also muscle health. Having strong and big muscles isn't just for bodybuilders, it's for people like you guys who are just athletes. Or even if you're not involved in a specific sport endeavor at this time, having strong and big muscles helps to do a lot of things in regards to blood sugar regulation. So if you are somebody with diabetes, having muscle honestly soaks up a lot of that excess blood sugar and it uses it for energy. So that's just kind of one side note. Also, as you age, you lose a lot of muscle. So trying to keep on as much as you can. So then once you get a little bit older, it just kind of lowers the chances of basically getting weaker and not being able to be as independent when you age. So when it comes to resistance training, we, or I should say the ACSM recommends doing one set of 8 to 12 reps of an exercise twice a week for every major muscle group. And I know that's kind of a lot. So I'll say it once again, and maybe Carrie, you can write this down in the comments. One set, which basically means one time through, of 8 to 12 repetitions twice a week of every major muscle group. And that sounds kind of daunting at first, but when you think about all the different exercises and all the different ways we can work our muscles, you can actually accomplish this in a variety of different ways pretty darn quickly. So if you think about an exercise like a squat, for example, you're basically sitting up and you're going down. When you do this, you might feel it in just one part of your legs, but it's actually working basically your entire lower body. So doing an exercise like a squat would actually work basically all those major muscles in your legs. So then for that day, you'd be done doing the legs. Then you just have to do a little bit of arm exercise to hit the recommendations for that day. As I mentioned, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. There's at-home workouts where you can find different household items. There's numerous different classes or online workouts you can follow on the internet. There's a million at this point because of COVID. It's kind of one of the good things of COVID. It made people realize that you can get good workouts at home. If you're at the gym, doing circuits on machines is a really good one, especially if you're just getting started and you're kind of scared to do all the free weights. Just getting in there and just pumping through all the machines, that only takes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, especially if you're just kind of moving one to one, you can get it done super quickly. I would also say too, if you do know somebody who is an adaptive athlete or somebody who might be in a wheelchair, this is another good option because a lot of those exercises are seated. So if you're able to transfer into those seats, circuits on the machines are a really good option. If you're a little more advanced and you're comfortable with it, you can find a personal trainer or somebody to show you how to use free weights. That's my favorite thing to do because it's very challenging and it's something that kind of keeps it interesting, and you can switch it up a lot of different ways too. There's also a lot of different exercise weight classes. I know my mom does this one called Body Pump, where it's basically in tune with music and you get weights and you just have a good time with your friends. It's all synchronized together and it really doesn't even feel like you're lifting weights at all. You're just kind of moving around with some light weights with friends. Something I should mention with load and potentially why people get scared with resistance training, the load or the amount of weight you're lifting should be slightly challenging, but not where you're failing repetitions. You should finish every set with being able to do a few more. You don't want to pick a weight for yourself that you do maybe 3 to 5 repetitions and you feel like you're going to pass out. The goal here is to move the muscle, move the joint numerous times. If you were somebody, who's doing powerlifting, you might do something with a little bit heavier weight. Remember, when we're talking about these guidelines, these are just for living a healthier and longer life. So not focusing so much on the load and just more focusing on getting a little bit of work in the muscles, but not too much where you feel like you're going to fail is kind of the key. So that's kind of the portion of resistance training. Does anyone have any questions when it comes to lifting weights, your bone or muscle health? In regards to that, feel free to go ahead and unmute and we can answer some questions. I'm looking at the chat too. So if you want to send them in the chat, feel free.
I'm going to send a hint Fit 5 on this. Raise your hand if you have a Fit 5 book or know how to look at Fit 5 exercises. I've sent a lot of you Fit 5 books. You know what I'm talking about
Me?
though? Fit 5.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a Special Olympics resource that has exercises broken down by balance and strength and endurance and flexibility. So those strength exercises, if you need ideas for them, that would be a great resource to go to find
Absolutely.
for your arms and for your legs and for your core and all that good stuff.
And Kara, too, you've shown me the website where they actually demonstrate those exercises again. So if you need to, I know, I don't know where on the Special Olympics website, but they have those resources where it actually shows you how to do them all again. So if you need a refresher, that's a good idea too. And really, like, I hate to say it's easy, but you can get a super quick workout that will essentially hit the health recommendations in maybe 10 to 15 minutes. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. And the benefits from doing it will literally last you a lifetime. Kind of what I mentioned too, though, with the aerobic guidelines, you don't need to stop at one set. You know, if you are super motivated and you're like, I'm going to do 2 to 3 sets today, by all means, you know, the more the merrier. There's a very few amount of people that are going to lift so much that it's going to actually cause issues. For most people, just try to get a little more each time. And then also too, if you're starting to lift a weight that becomes easier for yourself, go ahead and progress a little bit, add 5 more pounds. You know, challenging yourself and getting even stronger will make it interesting, you know, keep it refreshing for yourself, but also you'll get more strength and more health benefits as well too.
I got a question. I have these
Oh, heck yeah.
bands.
Yep. Ankle bands for sure.
Yeah, but I haven't used them because I really don't know how to use them.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I don't think that's a exercise on the, what is it, Kara? The
The Fit 5.
Fit
No.
5. I don't think those are on there if I remember. So basically, what you have to do, you know what? I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab an ankle band and I'll show you guys really quickly. Hanging tight.
Perfect. We get a live demonstration. Another thing too is the internet is always a good resource. Like if there's an exercise, I know I've said it before when I've sent out exercises and said, if you don't know this exercise, put it in your YouTube bar and look at it. Or if you look up things, like the internet has so many good resources. So Logan will show us some, but
Okay,
there are so many things.
so this is just kind of a few, I mean, this is one. So I'm actually seated when I'm doing this, but you can see the ankle bands around my foot. One of the ones that you can do is just bringing both your feet out and then slowly bringing them back in. And then you can do that for repetitions. That'll work the side of your hip muscles. Also, if you get up into a standing position, and I'm actually holding onto a chair, I'm doing this, you can kind of keep one leg straight and push one leg back. That's going to work one of your glute or your butt muscles, and you can do that on both sides, of course. You can also flip it and do it going forward as well. Same thing, except that's working the front of my hip. One of my favorite ones is to actually do this standing, and I'll kind of do like shuffle side to side. That's really really good warm up if you're doing any type of field sports, like if you're getting warmed up for a soccer game or any of your Special Olympics events. Those are super good warm-ups for your glutes and basically all the muscles around your hips. So I think those were actually sent in a care package, correct?
Yeah.
So doing those shuffles, doing kind of those kicks and those seated ones, that's pretty much most of what you can do with that. You can do some stuff kind of with your upper body too. You can do like pull apart, that'll work your backs a little bit. You can do one of these, I call these like archer pulls. You can do that. Just get creative, honestly. Just put it on different parts of your body and just start pulling. Just be careful. Obviously you can let go and it'll hit you in the face. So but yeah, those are a few things you can do with it.
Thank you, because yeah, it's not doing me any good just sitting in my
Absolutely. Yeah, put it around your ankles and just go try to walk around your house and you'll be feeling it. Trust me.
Yeah, and I should point out, since part of this fitness challenge leading up to the USA Games is also going to go through April, that's what my theme for the Barefoot Autism Challenge next year is going to be, all fitness.
Heck yeah. Nice. Do you have any like ideas for that? Like, what is that going to look like?
I'm looking into doing stuff like walking or running, or like some of the exercises that we've done throughout the off-season training.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
super
have
cool.
more details in like the next couple months.
That's super cool. Well, keep Kara and I, informed in that. And if you need help to any degree, we can absolutely give you some information.
Got it. I know I included Kara in on an email with the Autism Society of Iowa for some ideas and whatnot.
Yeah, we're excited for you to spread your knowledge of fitness. Good thing you're on this too tonight. You're just bulking up that knowledge, Tyler.
Cool. All right. Well, is there any other questions in regards to resistance training? If you have more at the end of this too, we can go over that again. But I think for now, I'm going to move on to the kind of the last portion of this, which is kind of the winter talk / working with your family. So I actually titled the top of this one, Winter Blues. So in Iowa, we get the nice, thankful appreciation of having it be deathly cold and terrible to go outside every year. I actually don't mind it too much unless it's like icy and dangerous to drive. But regardless, it's cold. It gets dark way, way sooner now. And you might not be motivated to go out into the gym or just go out into the world and really do anything. Access to roadways get tough in the ice and snow. There's no outdoor activities for the most part or as often. And, just being fit and even just living life, I feel like is a little bit tougher. Just going to the grocery store, it's like, who wants to bundle up and drive in their cold car all the way across town? Like nobody does, especially when it comes to working out. So I have a few different ideas here. Hopefully this might give you a little bit of guidance. If anything, it might be able to kind of jog your memory and brainstorm a little bit for stuff you can do. So the first part is going to be like at home. As I mentioned, there's a lot of online workouts that you can do at home now. If you type into Google, you can, just type in at home balance workout, at home strength workout, at home chair workout, at home yoga workout. There's literally millions of free videos and demonstrations that you can do that honestly could probably keep you busy for the rest of your life. So that's probably my first go-to and what I would recommend as kind of the easiest low-hanging fruit. Another thing when it comes to being at home a lot is to use the stairs as much as you can. Some people groan of having stairs. I actually really enjoy having stairs, especially when I get snowed in at home, because I'll actually use them as part of a workout. So I'm pretty thankful as I have a lot of home gym equipment, so I can do some weights, I can do some biking, all from my home. But sometimes that gets boring and I forget that I have a very easy piece of equipment that's part of my home, and it's my stairs. So I'll kind of make a little workout where maybe I'm gonna do a couple weights. I'm gonna walk up and down my stairs a few times. Using the stairs is such an underrated piece of equipment. Also too, if your stairs are a little bit bigger and you're more comfortable doing jumping and stuff, I find that stairs actually work as kind of a good box jump or a step up point too for like higher step up. So if you're somebody who it's easy to go up one stair, you can actually try to go up 2 to 3 stairs at a time. It'll get you a really, really good workout for your glutes. It'll get your heart rate up and kind of work on your cardio, as we mentioned as well. But don't underestimate the stairs for sure. Another thing I wrote down is to take move breaks, maybe every hour, as often as possible. And a move break can be a variety of different things. It can be simply getting up and stretching a little bit. It can be getting up and walking around your house. It can be getting up and even doing 10 push-ups. And the big thing for this is to kind of find a trigger or something that reminds you to do move breaks. I had on here as an example of every commercial you're watching TV, try to just stand up and maybe stretch a little bit. Maybe it could be every time you take a drink of your water, that's your trigger to remind yourself, hey, I want to go do 10 push-ups. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can even just be standing up out of the chair. Honestly, you're essentially taking a break from sitting to do something other than sitting. So don't really, punish yourself and be like, all right, every move break, I'm going to go run a mile. Like, no, none of us would do move breaks at that point. Make it easy, make it something where you just get up and feel a little bit better. One of my favorite things to do when I'm at home and to increase my physical activity is to do something called practicing inefficiencies, I should say. And what this means is that when you're doing household activities, whether it's doing laundry, putting dishes away, maybe even just cleaning your house, it's to be as inefficient as possible. And when a lot of us do tasks throughout the day, we're trying to be very efficient or try to get the most amount done with the least amount of work. You're basically going to do the opposite here. So if you notice that you have 10 pieces of laundry to fold and put away in your closet, something you could do is to literally fold one piece of clothing, put it in your closet, fold another piece of clothing, put it in your closet, and so on and so forth. You could do this for other tasks around the house as well. I often do things where I put something to the top of my house, whether it's my phone, and then I purposely forget it up there to go then all the way back up and basically be as inefficient as possible. And it kind of seems silly and it kind of seems like maybe it's not going to do much for you, but you're basically just spending more time standing up and doing stuff other than sitting, kind of like those move breaks we talked about. Something else I wanted to mention, the standing versus sitting. So I would recommend doing as much stuff that you can do standing as possible. A lot of our lives, we're kind of programmed to just sit automatically, sit and look at our phone, sit and eat a meal, sit and talk with family. But a lot of these things don't really have to be done seated. And if you look at that compendium of physical activity, standing, although it's not a very high MET level, it is a higher level of activity than sitting. So it adds up over time, and essentially it'll just make you feel a little bit better. Also, something I like to do too, I'll do some of those tasks I just mentioned, but also do them walking. So if you have a little trail or a little area around your house where you can kind of walk even in circles, there'll be 10 minutes I'll just take on my phone and I'll watch a YouTube video and I'll just slowly walk around my house versus me sitting and watching that YouTube video. It might be a little more enjoyable and pleasurable to kind of sit and watch it, but in the grand scheme of things, like I don't even feel like I'm really walking much because I'm watching that video. If you have a treadmill and you're able to do it on a slow speed as well, that makes it easy to kind of sustain to it as well. Something else I wanted to mention too, you can invest in some at-home gym equipment, but don't go too overboard. A lot of people buy all this stuff with really good intentions and then it just sits and collects dust forever. So buy something that for a fact you're going to use. And I would even recommend waiting until maybe you go to a gym and see what different things you like there before you actually go buy equipment for home. The one big thing I want to recommend and just kind of remind people, when you're at home, don't underestimate any movement. Even getting up, as I mentioned, for commercials and taking those really small move breaks, will add up over time. It's thinking that these things don't add up is where you'll really get hindered, because you'll be like, it doesn't really matter. So I'll just sit on my couch for 4 hours and watch Netflix. Okay, but that's fine. Obviously, if it's snowed in, I like doing that too. But getting up for every commercial during your Netflix break, it's not really going to be much skin off your back. It's not going to take too much time, too much energy, and it's going to make you feel really good. The next portion I wanted to address was stuff you can actually do outside. Although going outside when it's freezing cold isn't my favorite thing to do, there's a few different things that you actually can do outside, which will help keep you fit during the winter. The first one I put down is bundled walks. So even though it is very cold outside and walking isn't as fun when you are in the summer and the birds are chirping, you can bundle up really good in, a couple winter coats, gloves, and a hat, and you can get a really nice walk outside. If you have a dog or a pet, you can add that as well. It'll make it a little more enjoyable. Ice skating I put down, if you're somebody who's really coordinated and can handle ice skating, definitely enjoy that, especially with this time of the year. It's kind of fun with all the Christmas stuff that's usually around. So if you have ice skating in your area, definitely take advantage of that. Indoors works too. I just know sometimes skating outdoors is fun. Sledding, hiking, also shoveling too. Those are all really, really good sources of cardiovascular or heart health activities. And also I mentioned for shoveling, if you have a snowblower, I challenge you to maybe even try just shoveling if it's not too much snow. If you feel like your back's gonna like break because the snow is so heavy, I'd recommend pulling out the snowblower. But if your family's out there and they need a little help shoveling their driveway, just give them a hand. And then the last thing I put down is things you can do in the community. One of my favorite things in the entire planet is to walk around the mall or walk around giant stores like grocery stores. I love seeing all the different things. It keeps your mind kind of jumping from all the different aspects. The grocery stores, I think it's fun to see all the different things that they make and create. And at the same time, if you're consistently, taking laps around either the mall or big grocery stores like Costco or Sam's, you can add up a lot of steps. But at the same time, kind of make it fun because you're not just walking, you're actually walking and kind of half shopping at the same time. The key with that, though, if you are going to do that, is to realize when you're taking time to look at stuff that you're not really getting much overall work for your heart or adding to that physical activity recommendation. So staying consistently moving is important. You can take breaks to rest, of course, but realizing that you're there to move. That's kind of that portion of the, let's see, the winter blues section. So does anyone have any questions for addressing physical activity during the holidays, the winter time?
If you can get downtown, need a place to walk, the Skywalk. You can go slow, you can walk fast.
Yes.
Not many people.
Cool places like, yep. I have something like that too. And explore your community. There are probably so many community centers or little areas that are kind of hidden gems. I have a few in the Quad Cities. You'll just have to kind of do some research and reach out to maybe local government bodies. There's so many places out there to do some walking indoors. I can guarantee you that. Cool places too.
I walked the Ames Mall, North Grand Mall.
Absolutely. Malls are great. And the great thing about malls too is that they're almost always open for the most part. And they're always warm for the most part.
Sometimes
walk at the
malls
Y.
too. Sometimes malls will open up early for walkers. I know some of the ones in West Des Moines do. They open up like before the stores open up, they open up like an hour early. And so it's only people in there walking. So that's kind of fun because you're doing the same thing as everyone else, just trying to get a workout in.
When
That
I
is cool.
go, I usually see more elderly people walking instead of like more young people.
Absolutely. Well,
I
and
walk
the
at
thing is,
Y.
go ahead. Sorry.
I walk at the YMCA.
Excellent. That's where I walk too. I have a few different places. Why, if you have access to a gym, by all means, that will make this way easier for you. I should also mention too, if you don't have access to a gym, the holidays are a great time to get started because they usually offer really good deals on starting memberships, basically getting you into fitness. With that said, though, don't necessarily start till to January 1st to start it. I would definitely try to get into a gym now, if you're looking at doing it, because there's nothing magical about the New Year's. It's not going to make you a completely different person. You know, if you want to improve your health, start today. Maybe not today, after this, but start tomorrow. Be proactive about it.
What if you can't go outside very often and then you have asthma?
So that's kind of where I had a lot of these at-home ones that you can do. So working through either the online workouts, trying to be spending the least amount of time seated. So doing a lot of different things standing, whether it's listening to music, reading books, watching TV, those will add up. Taking move breaks during your daily activities, you know, whether it's during a meal, you can take a break after every, you know, portion of food you're eating. When you're watching TV, you can take a little bit of a break at every commercial you're watching. And then again, just not to underestimate movement in general. Getting up and doing these small things adds up. The key is just being consistent.
So you don't want to push it over then and then not strain yourself. So you have to use a pulse monitor.
Correct. And I should say too, for somebody with asthma, you really do need to just pay attention to how you're feeling, more so than potentially somebody who doesn't. You may find certain activities that are considered moderate might feel vigorous to you. And just realizing that and, you know, kind of accepting it is what it is. For you, you just need to find activities that are enjoyable, but not too exertion wise where you feel like you're going to pass out and might need your inhaler right away. So more lighter activity stuff done for a longer duration would probably be a better option for you. So instead of like a brisk walk, if that gets you too tired, just try to do light walking, for example.
Like 1 or 2 laps.
Yeah. And then see how you feel. And then if you feel good, add a few more.
Okay.
Something that I really enjoyed doing last winter, that was inside and it wasn't too taxing, is I would call or FaceTime someone. And I don't know if anyone else is a pacer, but I realized when I talk to someone, I pace back and forth and just walk in the room that I'm in or walk around my kitchen table or something like that. And one day I looked down, I was like, oh my goodness, I got a lot of steps from talking to my mom on the phone today. So that's something too. And plus it's so nice because I know I always want to try to set aside time to talk to friends, reconnect with people. So if you can do that at the same time that you're just walking around, you wouldn't imagine how quick the time goes by and also how many steps you can get from it. It was amazing. So I would highly recommend that one.
It's a great example. Great example of something you can do standing and moving that most people do seated. And that's kind of something you just think about is like, what are all the activities that I do seated during the day that I could do either standing or walking around at a very, very low speed? Cool.
Charity,
Last,
you have your hand up
oh, yeah.
for a reason. Did you have a question?
Not a question, but something. Another thing you guys can do is, especially like you might be traveling and you can, and the call flying, you can't move around. Shadow boxing. You can either sit down and do it, kind of just go like that.
Absolutely.
Oh, while you're walking, standing, whatever.
That's a good at-home workout too, actually.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'd say actually the first thing you said that came to my mind when you said sitting in a car is dancing. I thought you were going to say dancing, like
Yeah,
dancing with your upper body. Yeah, people,
yeah, you can kind of do that too. Fine
absolutely.
fixing, not setting and not moving
Absolutely.
for 2 hours.
For sure. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Yeah. Sitting in a car is a great example of how your body feels after no physical activity. How many people feel completely tired? How many people feel completely like all their joints are hurting, their knees hurt, their back hurts. They just feel like you don't want to do anything. That's what inactivity does. It's usually not that drastic, but realizing that that's what just sitting and doing nothing does. And then on the flip side, go and walk for 5 minutes, go use the restroom when you get out of the car. How do you feel then? Usually you feel great. So just kind of a side tangent example. I have one last thing, and these are just kind of tips that you can do if you still are connected with your families, which I'm sure a lot of you are, to just kind of help you guys work together better to hit your family fitness goals. So the first thing I actually mentioned was to make a goal together. A lot of us have goals that are kind of specific to ourselves, but I would recommend trying to find something that you guys can all work on together. Whether this is to walk a 5K together by the end of next summer, maybe you want to do 10 family fitness classes together in the month of January. You could even have like a weight loss goal of like, let's collectively lose 20 pounds as a family. Finding something that you guys can kind of hone to and just be a part of together makes it much more fun, I think, but also a lot more relatable because you understand those struggles that your family members are going through to work through their things, and they understand your struggles as well. Celebrating the small wins, but understanding that failure happens is super important because you're going to go through days where you're not feeling the best when it comes to sticking to those family goals, and your family is going to feel the same way too. So kind of keeping each other accountable and just feeding off of each other's energy. There's going to be days where you're going to wake up and you're like, let's go work out. Let's do this, guys. And everyone else is going to be like, can we just skip? And that's when you guys really just got to keep each other accountable and know that collectively as a family, you all want to be healthier. So feed off each other's energy. Another tip I have is to schedule your either workouts or exercise or physical activity or just healthy patterns together. It's so much easier to stick to an exercise plan if it's actually scheduled into your planner. One thing I used to do in college when I was super busy and, felt like I didn't have time to be physically active, I would actually schedule a specific block of time, whether it's even just 30 minutes to an hour. It doesn't have to be long at all, but having that in there made me almost, it made it non-negotiable where I can't not do it because it's in my planner. It just makes sense. And, if I don't do it, I have nothing else to do. So scheduling it in, finding time that your entire family can be a part of that makes it a lot easier to adhere to. And then I think the most important thing when it comes to physical activity for not just with your family, but for yourself is to find something that you enjoy, find something that you think that you can stick to long-term, because at the end of the day, that's where you're going to get the most benefit. Long-term adherence to physical activity is what's going to improve your health. It's what's going to keep you at a healthy weight. It's what's going to help you feeling good. Simply sticking to a exercise plan for a month and then never doing it again isn't really going to do much for you. So finding something that you can stick to essentially for the rest of your life is kind of the name of the game. And that's usually the frame of mind I want people to think about. So that's actually all the information for today. I think we're kind of close on time. If there's any last minute questions or any comments, feel free. We're almost finished, but
Logan, what if you don't have enough money to get a gym membership?
Yeah, so that's where I kind of recommended some of those in-home activities. So whether it's the online workouts, um, trying to get up and be doing things that you might do seated, like standing, like kind of right now, for example, watching this webinar is something that all of us could walk around the house and watch at the same time. We could stand and watch it. You know, if you're somebody who knows for a fact that you can't get a gym membership, but you have a little bit of money and you might want to get like a small pair of dumbbells to do some stuff at home, I would definitely recommend that. But also too, I would look around at local gyms. You'd be surprised. A lot of the gyms, especially for individuals with special needs or disabilities, offer some type of assistance or discounts. And then I'm even thinking Planet Fitness. I don't know if you have a Planet Fitness near you,
Yeah,
but that one,
yeah, we do at the North
that one
Marymount.
is a very cheap. I think they're like $10 a month, which is very, very cheap because their equipment is all very, very user friendly. It's very nice. And that's a very, I mean, you can't really get much cheaper than $10 a month. And especially around the holidays, they do a lot of discounts and kind of sign on stuff. So have one of your caregivers or have your family help you maybe do some research if you're interested.
You can go to
Okay.
July for free with your caregiver.
You go where?
I go to the YMCA with Easter sales all the time, and I think almost every group like that can get in free to the Y.
Okay, how do we do that if my agency comes all the way from Des Moines to back to
Maybe-
Ames?
Maybe something to give them a call about, Lisa. Say that you would love to maybe go to a gym or would love to work on your fitness and see if they have any recommendations, maybe with your caseworker, or have a staff look into it or a family member look into it. Because that is a great option. But also we're lucky that Logan did give us a lot of things that we can do at home too. Because when you can't get to the gym, it is good to have those resources and that set of knowledge. And yeah, and I think that will be kind of the last thing we talk about here, because we are at the end of our time. Logan, is there anything else that you wanted to share?
No, yeah, I know it kind of seems overwhelming, guys, but just you know, don't underestimate any little bit of activity. Even just going for a 10-minute walk, even just doing a set of 10 air squats or chair squats. That stuff really adds up over time. It'll make you feel good in the moment, and it can help you build a lot of momentum long term. So I know we're supposed to do another one of these in a couple weeks. Just a heads up for everyone. I can't remember what the topic is, but I think it's something along the lines of like goals or not being perfect when it comes to your health and stuff. But yeah, we'll have another one of these in a few weeks. So hopefully we see you guys for that.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Logan, for taking your time tonight and for all of your expertise that you shared with us. I have a challenge for everyone since Thanksgiving is this week. I was just thinking about this for my own family. I challenge everyone to encourage everyone that you're celebrating Thanksgiving with, or if you're celebrating alone, this works too, just for you. That's an easy crowd to rally. But challenge everyone to go out for a walk with you, either before or after you eat your Thanksgiving meal. I know it's not supposed to be the warmest day, but maybe tell whoever you're celebrating with to bring their coats and say, hey, we just got done eating a great lunch. Now let's go walk 2 times around the block, and bonus points if you can get them to do push-ups too.
Oh,
So just a way to kind of get the people around you to start thinking about their physical activity too. And you can even share what you learned tonight with them as you're going. So with that being said, thanks again so much, Logan, and everyone. Enjoy their week and enjoy their Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for joining us.
sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
I'm out of it, I'm out of it. Ain't no man to tell me you know